practically, and like these steps, the how do we evaluate this risk when we're starting a financial investigation?
So I don't know if we want to plug some of our worksheets and book elements yet, or if we're going to do that
Oh
later. But
no, go ahead.
we do have a. I'm going to totally blank on the name of the worksheet, which is why I'm terrible at this. But we have like a fraud risk detection kind of worksheet that helps people walk through these kind of things. But the types of things we're going to evaluate are, well, we kind of split our mindset into money coming in and money going out. So as you have money coming into your business, what are the ways it comes into your business? Do you have people paying you in cash? Do you have people writing you checks? Those kinds of things. Who touches the money as it comes in? Kind of, what's the process? Who makes deposits to the bank if there are cash or checks? Who is responsible for things like customer invoicing and then tracking those payments? And on the cash out side, who can write checks out of your business? Who controls your payroll system if you have payroll? So looking at all the different little avenues that money comes into and goes out of your organization, and then who touches those things, I think are kind of the most important starting points. And then if we find that there are places where there either aren't like inherent controls in it, like cash is something that just like doesn't have a lot. It's very, unless you're very intentional about it. I think it's hard to have a lot of control over that. And then looking at just the personnel involved, if it's like only one person, involved in a step, obviously that's problematic, but that's kind of where we usually start.
Yeah, so we have a blog post where we have this download that's the fraud detection worksheet, and we made
That's what
it.
it is.
Yeah, you're good. While you were talking, I got to look it up. So there's a blog post where we talk about how to use this spreadsheet, and it's available on our website. And we'll make sure we put that in the show notes if you want to download that. But yeah, identifying where does money come from, and at each of those sources of funds. So it could be sales, it could come from maybe you sublease space, it could come from like manufacturing scrap income. And how are all of these sources of income paid? What are the types of payments you receive? And then who touches it, which you mentioned, and where. Like, so my technician might connect with the payment on site at somebody's house, like a plumber, but then maybe the office manager reconciles these credit card payments or something. So identifying each of those individuals and where they interact or touch the payment. And then, if this is a business owner doing this, then ask yourself, if the person was to steal funds, like where would it have happened? And then if the funds were stolen, how would you know? But I think as the investigators like us, those are the two things that we have to answer for ourselves as we're learning this information from the client. I know that that's what I do in initial client meetings. I'm thinking, okay, so they've told me this is how this process works. So in each of these processes, could money have been stolen here, here, or here? And then I'll run it by them. And, like we just have this is just part of a conversation. This isn't like I don't know, quiz or anything. It's just part of the conversation trying to fill in these blanks, because those areas where it could happen is a risk. But then at the same time, and connecting it to the data piece, I think is when we as a team, or even sitting in that meeting with the client, start thinking, okay, what data sources exist that would confirm or deny that funds were stolen? And that's that data piece.
Right. That how would you know? I was just thinking like, and that's where we get into case planning.
That's right. Exactly. So, and then, we perform these same steps for as money leaves the business. I mean, it's exactly the same process. And I think most of the time, see if you agree based on the cases you've worked, I think most of the time, more of the risks exist on the money outside.
I agree, because when I stop to think of examples of diversion of money coming in, like I just struggle to think of them. Like I think it's so much easier for people to write themselves a check or overpay payroll or, use a company credit card inappropriately.
Mhm.
Um, there was another one that was just on the tip of my tongue, but like that stuff is just pretty I don't know. I think usually there are fewer controls around that, it seems like. And so it just requires less complexity on the part of the subject to do that.
Yeah, I would agree.